Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Tomcat Stitchery. I'm Whitney and I have my Christmas, not really my Christmas outfit. It's the outfit I wore to see A Christmas Carol where we had to be more dressed up. And I realize we're quite a few weeks after Christmas now, but it was just timing of, the Love Notion sale that was last week and everything else that this is the first chance I'm getting to share this with you. If you followed along on Vlogmas during week 2 of Vlogmas, you saw me making these things. So I will link that video up here and also put it down in the description box if you'd like to go take a look at some of the ins and outs. However, today, at the end of this video, I am showing you the tutorial that I learned on Instagram, and I've linked that original reel down below as well, how to do a baby hem. So the very narrow baby hem on the bottom of this bias skirt using band roll. We'll talk a little bit more about that before I send you over there. But there is a tutorial at the end of this video if you would like to see how that's done and would like to know how to make your own beautiful baby hem with band roll. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the pieces of this outfit, and again, if you want to see more in depth of me actually making things, that is in Vlogmas week 2. Okay. So I have been wanting a bias slip skirt for quite some time, and they're everywhere. Like, there's so many pattern companies that have them, and I was going back and forth on which one I wanted to even make, what would be the most comfortable, all that kind of jazz, yada, yada, yada. Then at the beginning of this, and I guess it was the end of November, Brittany J. Jones, on Instagram was doing an outfit of the day, like the whole month of November. And towards the end of the month, she had on a bias slip skirt using some of the crepe back satin from her fabric store, Melanated Fabrics. And it was just stunning. And I was like, oh yes, that is the one I want to make. It looked amazing on her. And that one, it sold me. So I immediately went over and bought the Stay Stitch Pattern Company Cocoa Bias skirt. And so glad I did. Also, why don't I have more of these in my wardrobe? I mean, how many, satin slip skirts does one actually need? So easy to make. But I went over and grabbed that pattern and knew that I wanted to use some more of the viscose satin from Mood. So I had bought 4 yards of this fabric, gosh, back in August when I first became an affiliate with Mood, because it was interesting and I wanted to try it out. And it comes in like 29 different colors. It comes in a whole bunch of different colors. So I bought, I think, 4 yards of it originally. I made a pair of Bennett pants. I was recreating a look with a pair of like shiny pants. So I recreated those, and those also got worn over Christmas, but for a family event. But anyway, recreated those, loved the fabric, and had a little bit left over. And I'm like, I think I've got enough left over for a bias slip skirt. Turns out I had just enough for the bias slip skirt. Now this pattern comes in 2 lengths. It comes in like an above the knee length and a midi length. I made the midi length. What size did I make? So I made the size 12 in this skirt because my hips were right in between, my current hip measurements right in between the 10 and the 12. And my waist always is up in the upper just because I'm very straight through there. So I made the straight size 12, and there's a lot of ease in the 12 because you actually, it gets kind of cinched in with elastic, and the pattern recommends that you just measure the elastic around your waist, what's comfortable, and just use that amount of elastic. So that all worked fine. And again, that Vlogmas week 2, I actually show you how to put the elastic in like I do. It's very easy how I did that. Anyway, and then I shortened it by 1 inch, and that is the only adjustments that I made to this pattern. Now I would argue that this is a little bit longer than midi length. It's more of like T length on me. I could probably shorten it another inch and it'd be more midi length, but I think it works just fine for what I want. I also want to say this pattern actually recommends a slit on the side when you're doing the midi length. I threw caution to the wind and decided to go ahead and just do without the slit because I really wanted to use French seams, which the pattern recommends, but I don't like the way that French seams get finished off when you have a slit because you have like a weak spot where you have to clip into the seam allowance to make that slit. And I went back and watched Brittany's reel a million times, and I don't think she has a slit in hers either. I can't say for sure because she never really shows like a side, but the way she moves, I don't think she has a slit in hers either. And it worked out just fine. In the Vlogmas, you'll notice I put it on and I like did this motion just to make sure I had room to move my legs. Number one, for walking, but also for getting up into vehicles and going upstairs. I wanted to be sure that I had plenty of room to do that, and I was absolutely fine. Because this is cut on the bias, you do have a little bit of like stretch, kind of like give, and it worked out absolutely fine. This skirt is basically 2 side seams, which I French seamed, and then you pop the waistband in, which is elastic to finish off the top of the waist. You let it hang for at least 24 hours. I think I let mine hang about 36 hours. So then you just even up the hem if you need to, if anything falls weird on the bias. And then I used this band roll technique to finish off the hem. I was I have a way of doing my baby hems, but I was just really nervous because this is cut, the hem is like completely on the bias because the whole skirt's on the bias, that it was going to be so finicky. And I just happened to be on Instagram Reels and came across this gal who was making a satin, or making a satin bias slip skirt and using band roll to do it. And I watched that like a million times. I was like, oh my gosh, does this really work? So I didn't have any band roll in my stash. I'll explain what that is in a second. So I bought some off of Wawak, and I've got that link down below. And Sunday during Vlogmas, I spent a couple of trials on some scrap fabric that was also on the bias to see if it worked, and lo and behold, it actually worked. So what band roll is it is stabilizer for a waistband. It's not elastic, but it is very hard and like rigid. And it comes in different widths. I think I bought the 1.5 width, just so I'd had plenty of room to like maneuver around. But, and it's kind of similar to horsehair braid, kind of. But anyway, it is just a woven, warp and weft woven tape that stabilizes waistbands. You'll see them a lot in tailored pants. It's like ready to wear tailored pants. It'll be behind like the hook and eyes for, pants. As in like a interfacing stabilizer type thing, like a sew-in interfacing. It's an old school product. Anyway, it works amazing at hems. And once you do the technique, and again, I'll show you here in a second, you can reuse that piece really if you wanted to. And it just makes a really beautiful 1/4 inch hem, and nothing got shifty on me. Nothing got, reamed where it kind of pulls. Sometimes when you're sewing bias, it'll like pull to the side and doesn't look very pretty. It did not do that at all. This is an absolute beautiful, if I do say so myself, bias hem, and it's uniform all the way around, and it's sewed up in you're going to see it sewed up in no time flat. Very easy skirt to make. Highly recommend it. Okay, so that is the skirt and the basis of the whole outfit. However, the cashmere sweater is a ready-to-wear cashmere sweater. My mother-in-law bought it for me for Christmas ages ago. But we're going to talk about my shirt underneath it. So this is my cream Liesl & Co. classic shirt. I totally took a chance, and I didn't defile it because I think I made it really better and added some detail. But it could have been a disaster if I didn't like the way that it had turned out. But I just kind of assumed, I like to make button-up shirts anyway, and I'm sure I'll be making another cream one here soon. So I think this is going to work out. Let's try this. So I used Mimi G on Instagram again, had done a tutorial with this pearl setter that she got off Amazon, and she did it on like a sweatshirt. And then I saw a couple of other influencers that were using it to do some like really cool things like embellishments. It's basically like a bedazzler. Again, I showed you how to use this in that same Vlogmas video, week 2. But I decided to just bedazzle the collar. I was actually watching the Today Show, and Hoda Kotb had on, at Christmas time, had on a button-up shirt underneath a sweater, and it was pearled, like the collar pieces were pearled. And I just loved how that looked. It's kind of took a classic and made it, zhuzhed it up a little. So pleased with how this turned out. I only did the front collar points, so it looks really fun poking out from underneath the sweater. But I think this is really great to wear as I would wear a white button-up shirt anytime, and it's just a little bit something different. It's kind of taken that classic aesthetic that I love and made it a little more. And I'm not really much of an embellishment type of person, but like that's not really my style, but maybe it is. This is 2024 is going to be all about me rediscovering my style and how it's evolving a little bit. I still lean towards classic, but there's some different themes I can see kind of coming out in my own personal style. So we're going to be exploring that more, but I'm very excited to have this shirt now in my wardrobe. And I think it worked out perfect, not only for a fun holiday piece, but I think it's going to be great, just with jeans and my cream sweater vest, or, any way that I would wear a white button-up shirt. So very excited to have that in my wardrobe as well. Okay, guys, that is it. That is we're going to call it my Christmas outfit, even though I didn't wear this on Christmas. I actually wore it on Christmas Eve when we went and saw A Christmas Carol. So anyway, my Christmas Eve outfit, I guess. But I just needed to be a little more dressed up because we went to the theater, to live theater, which is really, really fun. Okay. Now, without further ado, I'm going to send you over to the sewing machine and show you how to sew a baby hem using band roll. Again, the band roll is linked down below. Take a look, and this may be a technique you want to try as well. All right, guys, I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday. Get some sewing in this week, and I'll see you guys again on Friday. We're going to be talking about coats. Bye.
Okay, so this technique needs what is called band roll. I get mine from Wawak. You can Google it, though. It's almost like a horsehair braid. Most of the time, this is used for waistband, like an interfacing. I've seen it used as interfacings for like the hook and eyes in pants, or like buttonholes and buttons and stuff like that, because it's very stiff. As you can see, it's like really stiff. So it is similar to like a horsehair braid, kind of. Anyway, I will link where I got mine from Wawak. If you're not in the US, though, I would just Google band roll. Like it's a popular thing. Honestly, horsehair braid might also work, but anyway, this is what I'm using, band roll. Okay, I have cut a length that is more than what I need for the hem of my skirt by just a little bit. So that is the first thing that I've done. Because what we're going to do is we're actually going to pull some of these woven strips out so that we're just left with the weft, I think. Is that the up and down, or is that warp? I can never remember. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want my baby hem to be 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to measure 1/4 of an inch here. This is on the cut end. And you can go smaller if you want. And I'm just going to cut into that tape at that 1/4 of an inch, okay? So I've cut into the tape there. And now I'm just going to pull that away like so. Once you get it started, it goes pretty quickly, all right? So now, I've tried this a few different ways, so you're just left with the up and down ones. I tried this by just without doing this step and just sewing it and then pulling away the tape, and it just left all these strings inside the hem and made it such a pain to pull out. And I'm worried about the hem warping, as you're pulling. But this, you're basically pulling right, it tears evenly. Okay. So we can throw all those little bits and pieces away. So now our band tape just has like a fringe, basically. So that's what we want when we get started. So I'm using regular thread in my machine. I use a polyester Gutermann 100. I have evened my hem up. I let my bias skirt hang, and I've evened up the hem. So now I am ready to sew my baby hem. So let's go to the machine and I'll show you the steps. All right, so I'm starting with the, I'm obviously at the hem, and I'm starting with right sides up. Okay, so this is the shiny side is the right side of this one. And I'm just going to take my band roll and line up the edge of this fringe with the raw edge of my hem. Okay. And now you're sewing at 1/4 of an inch, but I'm basically just following that edge where I stopped the ripping. And I've got my band roll up and my skirt against the feed dogs. And I'm just going to go slow, and I'm just making sure as I go that the raw edge of my skirt is matching up with the bottom edge of this tape. And again, this is bias, so it can be a little tricky. So you just want to go slow, but we're just going to go all the way around the hem. Okay, when I get all the way around, I don't want my tape to overlap here, so I'm just gonna go over that seam and back stitch. And then I'm just gonna cut this off. Okay. All right, so now that we've sewn it right sides together all the way around, basically just on that fringe, we are going to flip it. So now we've got the wrong side up, and I'm just taking the tape and pulling it out away, okay? And then flipping it back over. I'm not pressing anything because that fringe, it's pretty stiff. And so it's gonna push into that extra edge, and you've created a hem right there. You see what I've done? So again, it's sewn right side together, and I'm just taking this and flipping it to the wrong side, okay? So now, we're just gonna sew all the way around the hem again. I'm actually gonna start over here. But we are going to sew, and I'm going to kind of start in here because this will get fiddly where we started and stopped. But I'm going to sew just right along the edge of that folded edge, okay? Again, we'll come back around there. And I'm just gently going around and pushing that fringe into that hem. All right. So now we've sewn our baby hem all the way around, and here's where the magic comes. Now we just take and pull this band roll right out of the hem, and it just comes freely out. And you may get a couple spots where you get some of those long strings in there, you know, if you accidentally sewed on top of the actual tape instead of just the fringe. But oh, see, it pulls out. It pulls out pretty easily. And there you have a perfect baby hem. So now you can go hit it with the iron and give it a good press. It's the easiest way to do a baby hem, especially on a fiddly bias hem of a bias skirt. So glad that I found this on the Instagram Reels. Again, the original source I have linked in the description box below. If you have any questions, let me know. Oh, and you can reuse this. So if you're making a whole bunch of these bias skirts, you can reuse this tape, you know, for this length that you made, so you don't have to throw it away. Very cool.